What's up everyone, Slasher Reviews here, and welcome to 2020. That means the 2010s has officially wrapped, which blows my mind because I actually started my YouTube channel in September of 2010. So the fact that I'm going to hit my 10-year anniversary this year is blowing my mind. So I will definitely do something big here in 2020. Don't know what that's going to be, but before we start talking all 2020, let's first recap. And I want to share with you guys my personal top 10 favorite horror movies of the 2010s. The 2010s was an insane year for me. I mean, not only from starting this channel to just my life, the evolution of my life, I learned a lot about myself. Unfortunately, I might have vocally tweeted a lot about myself than I needed to, but I really appreciate all the love and support you guys have given me. It's been absolutely an amazing ride, you guys, and I've also really have come to understand what my taste is and watch that evolve. And also the great thing about this list I feel like that I'm about to share with you guys is, one, it's my list, not yours, and it's definitely not going to look like your list, because what I consider horror might not be what you consider horror, but just in general, things that I might have loved back then, it was great to see how they had marinated over the years. And making this list was incredibly difficult. I had to let it sit for a couple of days, go back to it, edit it, just all sorts of stuff. But I feel very confident in the list that I have for you guys. And normally I always do like 5 honorable mentions. I had to do 10. So these in a sense would be like my 11 through 20 if I was doing 20 films. But I'm just going to read them off for you guys. And, you know, got my handy dandy phone or whatnot. And those honorable mentions are Climax, Insidious, Halloween, Paranormal Activity 3, The Invitation, Green Room, Under the Skin, A Quiet Place, Midsommar, and Get Out. Y'all, I know, Get Out is not in my top 10, and let me explain. I shouldn't have to explain. It's my list. It's not in my top 10. It's as simple as that. I understand the importance of it, and I will be honest, if there's one horror film that came out in the 2010s that's probably the most important horror film, it's absolutely Get Out. It's just not my personal favorite. I think it's amazing. I think it's important. I love what Jordan Peele did with that movie. It's just not in my top 10. So let's get on to the list. Number 10 is The Cabin in the Woods. Y'all, I love this movie. This was my favorite horror movie of that year, and it just blew me away. I'm a big, massive fan of slasher films. It practically screams in the title of this channel, and how this movie flips the slasher genre on its head, plays with horror conventions, horror tropes. It's super meta, but it's extremely smart and brilliant, and I love this movie. I think it's absolutely brilliant. The characters, how all the involvement, the cameo at the end is fantastic. The kills, it's very funny, but it's also quite scary at times. It's just an extremely entertaining film, and this movie ages better with the years to come just because of all the repeated films that have come afterwards. Coming in at number 9 is a film that I know a lot of you people might consider not a horror movie, or you might even just hated it when it came out. I don't care. I freaking love this movie, and that is Darren Aronofsky's Mother. Y'all, this movie is visceral. It is unapologetic. It is in your face. It is terrifying, and it gives me one of my favorite performances of the 2010s, Jennifer Lawrence as the title character. She is brilliant in this movie, and I honestly think the religious undertones are fantastic, and me having a massive religious background, I just absolutely eat this film up, and I just loved all the subtlety and non-subtlety moments of this movie. I think the performances are incredible, and that last act of this movie is absolutely visceral and intense, and it goes for broke, and it made a lot of you people angry. But I love it when a movie can push the boundaries, and the fact that this had a wide theatrical release blows my mind. Coming in at number 8 is Evil Dead. Y'all, I think that this remake is one of the best horror remakes of all time. I love this movie. I watch it all the time. I like the visceral nature of it. Honestly, And a lot of the horror films of the 2010s dealt with a lot of like demonic possessions and supernatural stuff, but this one went for it. It was gory, it was over the top, it was violent, but it felt believable, it was intense, it felt like the true vision Sam Raimi envisioned for his original film back in the day. Like, it is absolutely brilliant. I think Fed Alvarez directs the crap out of this movie, and I love Jane Levy as Mia. She's a fantastic final girl, one of the best final girls that we got in the 2010s. She is utterly brilliant in this role, and I think she's fantastic. And I just like the gore and the practical effects to stay true to the heart of Evil Dead, but pushed it forward. And I am dying for a sequel for this movie. I need a sequel for this movie. Coming in at number 7, I have You're Next. Y'all, this movie is an absolute treat. I love the bleakness of it. I love how it's a home invasion slasher film, and the killers, the masks, the weapons, everything is fantastic. But it's really, in my opinion, it's Sharni Vinson as Erin who just absolutely dominates this film. She's probably my favorite final girl. No, she is my favorite final girl in any film that came out in the 2010s. She's brilliant, she's smart, she's sophisticated. How she commands the scene and takes over the movie is just brilliant, and I love the kills. I love all the characters. I love that Ty West is in this movie, and he's a filmmaker, and Barbara Crampton, the legendary Barbara Crampton's in this movie. It is just brilliant. I love the music, I love the score, I love everything about this movie, and it is one of the most rewatchable films ever for me. I consistently can put this movie on it any day of the week, and it just fills me with joy. My hands are going all over the place. But coming in at number 6, I have The Babadook. Y'all, this movie is so unsettling. The subject matter of mental health and trauma, and how this movie explores that through evil children, in a sense, is just fantastic. And the Babadook himself is terrifying. He's simplistic in terms of look, but long-lasting effects in terms of horror. And I just thought that the performances in this movie, and the cinematography, and Jennifer Kent's ability to really dig deep into these characters. Coming in at number 5, I have The Conjuring. This is probably one of the most important mainstream horror movies to come out in the 21st century. This movie had a massive impact, not only at the box office, but in just terms of quality. This is a absolutely brilliant horror film, and how this movie conjures up scares and proves that James Wan is a master of his craft. I loved the direction in this film. I love the performances, and this movie is just absolutely terrifying. From the iconic clap scene to the woman on the dresser to just the pacing of this movie. It's absolutely brilliant, and it's terrifying. And the characters of Ed and Lorraine Warren, played by Vera Farmiga and Patrick Wilson, are iconic in my opinion. They are brilliant. Their love for each other elevates the sort of compassion that you have, not only for them but for the family and their work, and it really just makes you root for them, and no matter what horrific sequences that they are enduring. And this movie definitely is going to be one of those films in 40 or 50 years people are always going to be pinpointing to. It really is truly a classical horror film in every sense of the word. Coming in at number 4 is The Wailing. Y'all, this movie is scary as hell. It's absolutely terrifying. It freaked me out the night I watched it, and also shows that horror movies can be epics. I mean, this movie is nearly almost 3 hours long. It's a South Korean film, and it has so much plot that they're throwing at you, and it's epic, it's sweeping, at times it's funny, and I liked how this movie is like a buddy cop movie that morphs into a religious horror film. And it's not just a religious horror film that we've seen in the days where like good versus evil, but it actually is a religious horror film that has something to say. You know, it brings faith into the mix, and I love when horror films do that, and they don't just use like God and the devil and all that stuff, but actually try to form a conversation about it all. Is brilliant. And man, this movie is bleak, but it's smart and sophisticated, and I go back to this one more than any foreign language horror film. I feel like it is just absolutely terrifying. And if you haven't seen this movie, I know the running lane can worry people, but y'all, you need to sit down and watch this movie. It is unreal. Coming in at number 3, you guys, I have The Witch. Robert Eggers' feature debut is just brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. The cinematography, the language in this movie, it just feels all authentic and absorbing. And Anna Taylor-Joy's performance in this is one of my favorite performances in a horror movie in the 2010s. She's brilliant. The atmosphere, everything about this movie just absorbs you and thrusts you into this nightmarish world. And also, like I said, like with The Wailing, I love horror films that explore faith. And in my opinion, this is the most important faith-based movie of the 2010s. I love how this movie explores the Christian bubble and how you can believe in a God, but you have to do it in a certain way, or else it could be toxic for your own self. And I think that is a brilliant thing to explore, and I don't think it's something that a lot of filmmakers are willing to go the distance for, because, you know, in this sense it could be convoluted. But also, at the end of the day, this is a horror movie, and it's terrifying, and you can sense that Robert Eggers put forth the effort and research to make it as authentic as possible. And I'm telling you, Black Phillip is a horror icon. That man, I love him. Coming in at number 2, ladies and gentlemen, I have It Follows. Y'all, this one left a massive scarring on my brain when I saw it. I mean, I drove 2 hours to see it, and I had a hard time. Those 2 hours felt like 4.5 hours trying to get home after watching this movie. It freaked me out. I still, to this day, you guys, this is the horror film that I have a hard time being in large crowds for, because it just makes me think of it is somewhere in the crowd. Like, this movie, the nightmarish and sort of dreamlike cinematography on top of disaster pieces, horror score, which in my opinion is my all-time favorite horror score. I know it's controversial opinion when there's so many really great ones, but I love the It Follows score so much. And I think David Robert Mitchell directs this brilliantly. Micah Dillon Monroe's performance in this, and how it's not condemning her for having sex, but, you know, but also allowing a conversation about safe sex to happen, while also being more than just a sexually transmitted demon kind of movie. This movie is brilliant. There are so many horrific set pieces in this film, and I know a lot of you guys to actually consider this to be your favorite horror movie of the 2010s, and I think you guys are awesome for it. And we've come to the end of the line, you guys. My number 1, my favorite horror movie of the 2010s is Hereditary. Y'all, I cannot tell you how much this movie means to me. I think horror in a lot of ways is a lot more sophisticated than a lot of people give it credit for. I think they touch on serious topics, and they bring a light in dark areas that need a light in. And I think Hereditary was that film for me. I saw a lot of my own traumas in life and griefs and things that I was suppressing that wasn't needing to be suppressed, and I was able to, in a sense, move forward in a sense so that I could find closure, so I don't go down the route where I'm all Payman's vessel, you know. But I love this movie, and I think what Ari Aster did in this movie is just absolutely brilliant. It's terrifying, but it's a movie with a purpose. It's a movie that's saying something, and it also gives you all the things that you want in a horror movie. It's brilliant, and the fact that in 2019, I actually got to meet Ari Aster and just confess my love for this movie and why it means so much to me just meant the entire world for me. And this is not only my favorite horror movie of the 2010s, it's one of my favorite movies in general. I think that this movie is absolutely brilliant. And Toni Collette gives my favorite performance, not only of the 2010s, but just one of my favorite performances ever. She's brilliant. What a brilliant actress that she is. And I don't think I could fully form the words how much this movie means to me. I mean, I literally went home and I sobbed after this movie, because it just hit me in a way that movies don't hit me in. And that's why it is my favorite horror movie of the 2010s. So you guys, there you have it. That was my personal list of the top 10 best horror movies of the 2010s. I'm looking forward to a really great 2020 with you guys. So let me know in the comment section below, what do you think of my list? What are your top 10 favorite horror movies of the 2020s? I'm dying to know, you guys. Y'all, I love you guys. I don't say it enough, but I do. I absolutely love you guys. I love doing this channel, and you guys are the absolute best. So of course, like always, until next time, I'm the Slasher Movie Reviewer, and you guys have just been slashed.